There was something special about Scotland in the summer that made it one of his favorite places in the world. It was more than the rain and clouds and heavy mist that called Luca Ambras here. It was the taste of what had come before, a palpable history that flowed so vividly in his memory that sometimes he could close his eyes and hear the voices of people long gone, feel the impact and vibration of a sword in his hands during countless battles, smell the peat fires. He'd actually been born in Greece. His olive skin gave away his Mediterranean heritage. But he'd spent many more years in Scotland than he had in Greece, and was far more at home here. Greece was too hot and sunny. He much preferred cool, misty, foggy places. There were times when he craved the noise and movement and excitement of a city, but more often he preferred his own company and his own thoughts. If he hadn't been comfortable within himself, he'd have gone mad many centuries ago. But he was comfortable and grounded, to use the current phrasing, so he was very content to pass days, weeks at a time without seeing another soul. The trick was to live in the moment, to enjoy each successive year for itself, for the changes that came both slow and fast, and for the things that never changed. He enjoyed life and didn't necessarily require companionship. His home here in the Highlands was an elegant cottage with all the modern conveniences, far away from the larger cities. He saw no need to sacrifice his comfort for solitude when he could have both. Once he'd have had to choose between them, but no longer. Times changed. What good was living through the centuries if he couldn't enjoy all that was offered? The things he'd seen come into being during the past 150 years. Even he, who was seldom surprised by anything, had watched with bemusement as change piled on change. Electric lights, telephones, automobiles, airplanes. It was almost too much to take in, though he enjoyed them very much. He loved movies and television, the travel, the thrill of driving a fast car, or getting on a plane and a few hours later being thousands of miles away. The humans had even managed to go into space. The audacity of such fragile creatures was either valiant or incredibly stupid. And despite 2 millennia studying them, he hadn't yet decided which it was. Both, perhaps. He had money, and he had time. If he was in the mood for city life, he stayed in his place near Seattle, Washington. When he wanted peace and quiet, he came here. In a while, he would tire of the quiet and move on. But for now, the solitude was as necessary to his survival as blood. Immortality didn't come without a price. Still, he never stayed in one place very long. Long being a relative term. A month might seem long to some, but to him, it was the blink of the eye, a heartbeat. It wasn't in his nature to nest. He was a hunter at heart, and he enjoyed the thrill of the chase even more than the inevitable end when the prey was his. One day soon, he would feel the call, or receive an actual call, and in a flash he would leave behind his beloved solitude to lose himself once more in the blood hunt. When twilight came, Luca left his cottage and walked out into the cool, fresh air. This was the time of day he liked best, when the fading light and gathering darkness accentuated the aloneness he sometimes craved, as if it were as tangible as the earth he walked upon. He took a course that led him through a fragrant meadow, with the craggy mountains looming over him and deepening the shadows. His boots cut slowly through the tall grass. There was no hurry in his movements, no need beyond the moment. He was old enough that he no longer had to feed very often, unless he was burning a lot of energy, which allowed him to escape from the world for days, even weeks at a time. The hunger, the need, would eventually come, and when it did, he would feed. But he wasn't hungry tonight. Tonight, he was satisfied to walk these stark, dramatic hills and remember the battles that had been fought here. There was a lot to remember, because there had been so many battles, so many wars. Easily destroyed or not, His human fellow warriors had thrown themselves into war with such complete lack of caution that he could only marvel. It wasn't as if they didn't know they were mortal. They did. And still they fought, often long past the point where sanity or common sense should have kicked in. Even after centuries of watching them, preying on them, sometimes fighting beside them, humans could still bemuse him.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.